Hello, fellow Fumblers, and welcome to another episode of the Film Fumblers podcast, the show where four friends fumble through your favorite films. Today, we are reviewing Akira, a movie released in 1988 and directed by Katsuhiro Otomo. So without further ado, my name's Adrian.
I'm Jay.
I'm Taryn.
What's up? It's James.
All right, and in regular Film Fumblers fashion, do you guys have your shots ready?
Oh, of course.
This time I do.
All right, good.
Two different
Every
bottles of
time.
Tito's
Look
in
at
this
that.
thing.
Look at that. Film Fumbler
sorry.
shot
Look at that
glass.
merch, dude. Crazy.
Trademark pending. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
I'm scared. I don't know why I can't do it. Okay. Okay.
Excuse me.
Oh man, that went down so smooth.
Yeah, mine actually wasn't bad either.
Mm.
That's what happens when you take a week off, huh?
And you
Yeah,
drink,
well,
drink
we
that
didn't-
whole weekend.
We did, yeah.
To strengthen your... I don't know.
We had the
Yeah,
entire Albuquerque supply of White Claw in one location.
Dude, my recycle bin was filled to the literal brim of just White Claw cans. Like,
Dude, you should have took it to the place where they give you a nickel per pound or something. You
I
probably
don't
would have
know,
got
yeah,
like $100 back.
I probably would have been
Oh.
able to buy another 12 of White Claw.
Probably.
Dude, you should have took him to the
Oh.
studio and we would have just lined them all up on the shelf.
Oh, that would have been cool.
Just a
Ooh,
wall.
a
But yeah,
crushed
so
can wall?
Ooh.
Crush can. That's a
that would
lot.
be cool.
Like crush
Should
the
be cool.
cans and then line the wall.
To fill in the listeners, last week, we took last week off, kind of had a little celebration of all of us, getting our vaccines. We all have, all of us here fully vaccinated. So we had a little get together. The guys most of you hadn't seen my house. So and that was
in the
exciting. It
house.
was fun. It was a fun time.
For sure.
Yeah, it
But yeah.
was a great time.
All right, so let's jump into it. Akira, 1988. I had heard a lot about this movie, like in pop culture and stuff, but didn't even know what it was about, like at all. So it was,
Yeah.
I don't know, it was fucking wild, just so crazy. Like, who had seen this movie like before multiple times? Like any of you like big fans of this? Had seen it a long time ago? Where are you guys at?
First time.
I
for
saw
me.
it. I saw it for the first time a couple years ago at the Guild in a theater
Ooh,
That's awesome.
with
That's a good
Alonzo,
place
actually.
to watch this. Yeah.
And yeah, it was. I kind of walked out of there like, what the fuck did I just watch? Like, it was like crazy. I knew nothing about it except for like there was the cool motorcycle thing,
Right. Yeah.
and that there was like references to that in other things. But like other than that, I
Yeah.
didn't know anything. And
Mhm.
I'm not one to be like well versed in anime, so like I'll disclaim with that. I don't
sure.
have like a huge knowledge of that stuff. I haven't seen that many. But like this was like, holy fuck, like for some reason when I think about anime, I don't think about crazy shit like this,
Mhm.
and it just reminds me like how truly creative and crazy anime actually is or could be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
the shit you can do is literally limitless. It's
Yeah.
intense.
Yeah, people think that it's like nothing but like little cute girls or whatever.
That's what it
Sailor
is now,
Moon.
though. I don't know.
Sailor Moon stuff, but like it could be some brutal, like heavy shit. But I
Yeah.
thought that I had seen this movie when I was younger. I probably had. My brother probably watched it, and I probably seen snippets of it. But going into this movie, I was like, okay, I know where this is going. Motorcycle gangs, yeah, totally see this. And then it was just like, oh fuck. I wanted to message everybody like my face, like. But yeah, and then because Adrian was like, "Are we doing subbed? Are we doing dubbed?" The classic
question.
question, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Obviously sub. Come on." And then I was
That's
like,
where,
watch,
yeah.
watch dub for the second rewatch because you're not gonna know what the fuck happened. So just get that dub in there just to fill in the blanks a little bit.
Speaking of that, I was like, okay, it's the second time I'm watching it. I'm gonna watch it in the dub, and I have the like 4K Blu-ray version, which is really
Mhm.
cool. and it
Yeah.
has multiple dubs. There's like one from 2001, one from the 90s.
Oh wow.
And so I put it on, and I got through like 20 minutes, and I was like, I can't fucking do this, dude.
Is
Really?
it
it's
weird
not-
or bad or what?
It's just weird. Like, I guess Americans are just really whiny or something. I don't know. Like when they talk, and like when the part that I specifically was like, I'm changing it, was when Tetsuo is like throwing a tantrum in
Yeah.
the like right after the fight with those people, and Canada's trying to get him to like chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
The way that that's dubbed is so bad and just like real like
Was it-
high pitched whiny. I was like, I can't.
Was it the
listen to
90s
Yeah.
one? Or the newer
It was a
one?
2001 one.
I wonder. I bet the
Hmm.
90s one might be better.
It probably is better.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I
like,
just
well-
went back to subs, and I was like, fuck it.
I feel like they just try to mimic the Japanese style of talking, which is kind
Mhm.
of whiny to for certain characters. So maybe
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
watched like
like
45 minutes of the dub today. I didn't watch it all, but yeah. I don't know. I thought it was. Oh, I don't know. I didn't notice anything.
I think there's also like a thing where when you watch something, I mean, this obviously happens a lot in shows. Like if you watched 2 seasons of an anime in the sub and then you just randomly switch to the dub, like, or try to rewatch in the dub, it's just like, whoa, like none of the characters sound the same. I mean, obviously they're
Yeah.
different voice actors. Like it's
Yeah.
not going to sound, so you have this expectation, and vice versa, right? Like if you watched it dubbed first and you switch to sub, you like if you watch Dragon Ball Z in sub, like you'd probably be like, what the fuck? Like if you're not used to that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably hate
that
it because Goku.
That
yeah.
Goku voice
Yeah,
is so
yeah.
fucked. It's like like cutting out, but
horrible.
You gotta-
it's the worst voice I've ever heard.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I think the other thing I realized is that because the movie does kind of take a lot of turns, and it's a little bit hard to follow. And I think
A
that
little bit.
watching it
A lot
with
hard.
subs, I mean, it's hard to follow, but it makes a lot more sense on the second viewing.
Right.
But when you are forced to like read and like sit there and like really focus on it, it really helps.
Yeah, that's true.
So in this
That's true.
case, and like in Parasite too, that was,
Oh right. Yeah.
it makes it better, I think, for me,
yeah.
or at least forces me to like sit there and watch it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's just such a thing, is like whenever I'm watching an anime, like I can't be like eating or like doing other random shit, because I'm like I literally have to be reading, and it's like the most reading I do in my life. So I'm like, okay.
It's just really hard.
But-
Like, oh fuck, they talk really fast right there. Wow.
Boy.
rewind that.
But yeah, so for me, I think like just from what I knew from pop culture about this movie, I was like, okay, like biker gangs, I guess, in like a post-apocalyptic worlds is what I thought going into that. And so like I guess that was my expectation going in, and I was just thrown for a loop because this movie is so much more than that. Like that's hardly even a thing, really. Like in the grand scheme of the plot of this movie is a biker gang is like very, very small. And I'm sure that's completely different in the manga. Like it's probably it goes so into all of those different things, I'm sure. But in this, it was like very secondary. And I was like, oh, this isn't really about biker gangs at all.
Dude. Yeah, that's exactly where I was. I was like, this is a cyberpunk biker gang. Like, they're gonna fight and have all kinds of conflicts and shit. I did not
Yeah.
expect any hard ass like sci-fi shit at all. And then I was like, oh my
And that's like all it
God,
was.
yeah.
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 So like, do you guys know the reason why it's like that?
Like what? Like sci-fi
Why?
shit?
Why? Like, you only get this tidbits. I mean, you mentioned the manga and stuff like that. So this movie has a unique kind of thing where it simultaneously came out as the manga was coming out. So it's both the original and inspired by the manga.
Yeah.
So actually, the movie is only based on the first. So there's 6 manga novels.
Did
It's
you watch the
based on
same
the
YouTube video?
Probably, yeah. It's based off the first book and the 6th book.
The last
So you
one.
have 4 in the middle.
But they kind
where
of they kind of like rush through all the middle, right?
They,
like it's
yeah,
still there,
they rush
but
through all of it. Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's where it kind of feels like there's a lot of nothing burgers there. There's like you get a little bit of it, and it just never kind of goes anywhere with
Yeah,
it.
it's like
Little
quick
bit.
fucking story beats. So you're like, wait,
Yeah.
what was that? And then it moves on, and you're like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah,
That's why it's so
like
hard to follow for sure.
yeah, it definitely is. And I think, I mean, as I'm watching this, I'm like thinking to myself, it feels like this would work really well as a show or like as a miniseries at least.
Yeah.
But trying to get all of it into a movie, for me, again, first viewing, just watched it, like it felt rushed and it felt just like so concentrated with content. Like too much, so I was like, who, oh my, like I'm trying to understand who characters are. I'm trying to like, and it's I couldn't, I don't know, first viewing, it was very hard to follow. Very hard to follow.
And I
Yeah.
think that's
Yeah.
I think it's sort of for me a detriment to it a little bit.
Yeah, I
think
agree.
it hurts it kind of a lot for me a
lot.
little bit.
Yeah.
But good news, I guess they are making a manga or an anime series, so they're
Oh,
gonna
really?
slow it down and break it
Well,
out.
so interestingly, I heard that so they had been trying to make a live action, and like I know anime live action movie destined to be a failure, but I think they signed up Taika Waititi for
They
this
did.
Yeah.
one. So
Oh,
high
That's
hopes
the only
there.
reason I'm excited.
Yeah.
Apparently, he kind of dropped it for Thor:
he-
Love and
he
Thunder.
Pushed it back,
postponed
yeah.
postponed it,
But they
yeah.
might drop his ass. But who knows?
I hope not, man.
Maybe.
yeah.
I don't know. He's got
I want to
experience.
see him do something serious like that. I wonder how he'll do. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, there's like comedy aspects in Akira as well. So, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Like Canada A is pretty funny. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the names are good.
Um,
There's like random humor, like when they're in the, I guess it's like the holding place, and they're getting what is it called?
they're getting interrogated.
Interrogated, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like in the hallway, and the guy's like, he calls him like an old man, and he's like, I'm
Oh,
only
yeah.
25, like
Yeah.
random shit like that.
It's like I don't even have kids yet. It's like,
Yeah.
oh man. So, all right. I want to talk about, I guess, just like, well, not briefly. Probably this is a big important thing in this film is like just the cultural impact that I think this had outside of Japan. Like this was like, 1988. This did a lot to bring anime and like Japanese culture outside of Japan. And like a lot of other works were inspired by this. And like, I don't know, you talk to anyone on the street today, they could name like easily, like just some random schmuck on the street can easily name 3 animes, like easily.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I feel like, in the early 80s, that definitely wasn't a thing. Maybe I don't know, I wasn't around, but I just
You mean Japanimation? Remember they used to call it that shit
Did
back
they
in the
So
really?
much
day?
cooler, dude.
Yeah,
So much
Japanimation.
Dude, yeah.
But so yeah, I was watching this and like again, I mean not to get too far into it, but I was just like, all right, this movie, I don't understand a lot of it, but like I just have to appreciate how much this definitely did for expanding Japanese pop culture nationwide, worldwide.
Yeah,
Dude, even
totally.
not even Japanese only like animation, like just any like adult animation or anything.
Yeah.
Like it made people
Yeah.
take animation seriously, and it was like I cannot like say enough how much I appreciate that about it, because like animation is like my favorite fucking thing, and like there's so much good like adult animation, but people are like, oh, it's animated, like it's a cartoon, fuck that. But like no, dude,
Yeah.
there's some good
Yeah.
shit out there.
yeah. But it's
Yeah,
like
and-
kind of crazy that was the thing that like opened the hole. Like it's
Yeah.
like I don't know. It wasn't like something else that's more palatable. It's not something
Right.
like it's just so
Okay.
fucking intense.
It's almost
And
like it
this was the
could be
thing
though.
that broke through. That's like crazy.
Let me
I don't
say
know, it's
this
kinda crazy.
here to kind of address all of that. Like, if I had just seen it for the first time and I was talking here with you guys, I would totally agree that it's very hard to follow and that that's a detriment. But when you watch it again and you kind of like start to put it together better because you know certain things, it actually turns that score up like more than it would
I
down the
bet.
first time.
Because
Does that make sense?
The second time you're
Yeah.
like, oh, none of the characters really matter, so you don't have to like focus in on them. Like it's more of like a larger
Right.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been.
But
nice to
also
know.
like I think that since it came out in 88, like in this time, people are more used to like, I mean, I would say like reading shit, like complicated books, quote unquote, because I
Mm.
feel like that's dropped off hard in the
Oh
last
yeah.
like decade and a half, right?
Sure.
Mm.
And so comprehending that stuff was probably a little bit easier, especially as you're reading subtitles and stuff. But I think even just like the pure like look at this fucking movie, right? Like this, it just looks crazy.
Yeah,
It's insane. And for
and
that time,
I don't know.
that
Okay, counterpoint to that, because you're saying like back then people would probably be more accepting of it. I guess is what you're trying to say.
not necessarily accepting, but like
Like
if they went to
understanding.
watch it, they would get it more so.
Because I feel like that may be
you're
true,
saying
but
we're
like
stupid.
only for like
Yes,
people that are like trying to look for that or like into that. You know what I mean? Like that's gonna be true
Totally.
any day. But people back then
Yeah.
don't like weird shit. You know what I mean?
right. I'm sure it was
Yeah.
like super niche.
Yeah.
But because they were into that thing, right?
Right,
And it was
yeah.
considered weird, they were probably like way more attached to like, whoa, this
Oh,
is
for sure. That probably changed their
crazy.
fucking lives, dude. That'd
Yeah.
be crazy to watch back then.
Yeah.
And the
So like,
pure effort that went into making this movie is intense. Like
Insanity.
at the beginning of the movie, it's like the Akira committee, right? It
Yeah.
says like produced by whatever. That was like a conglomeration of like big name,
Like 7 of them or
Yeah.
something.
yeah, like
Studio
like
Ghibli
companies.
helped out a little. It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, they basically
Yeah.
just pulled together a bunch of money to make this movie, and they created an entire studio just to make this movie,
Yeah.
and like that was
Jesus.
it.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
this whole effort. It was crazy.
yeah, it had the biggest budget for an animated film of its time. Like I think right after 1989, Kiki's Delivery Service had a bigger budget than this one, but that was like, also a really big film. But yeah, it was really a big deal.
Yeah.
But to get
Okay.
into like,
Wait, hold
Alright,
on.
go ahead,
So
sir.
on the impact, real quick. So the people that basically, I don't want to say ported, that's like a video game thing, but like brought it over to America, the people that like put it on VHS and shit, like they made a company almost just to put that movie out here.
really?
And then because of that movie, like they were able to bring more anime. Like they brought, I saw like what, Digimon, Naruto, One Piece, DBZ, Bleach, all these
Wow.
these to America. Like
Dude.
Akira did everything for anime in America, dude. It's fucking wild.
Yeah, no. And like that's why I was like, all right. So that's what I was gonna get into. I watched the first half of this movie with Samantha, and like she goes to work super early, so it was like a little bit past her bedtime, and she wasn't wrapped in. And I was like, you can go to bed. I'm gonna finish this. I just knew he wasn't vibing with it. I was like, just
Yeah.
go ahead and
Don't
go to
worry
bed.
about it.
But I was like, before the movie, we were at dinner, and I was like, yeah, like the movie we're doing this week, it's a cult classic. It's done so much for anime. It's like really huge. Not knowing really anything about it, but we sat down and watched it, and I was like, whew, it was like the SpongeBob, tired meme, like, whew,
Yeah.
this is like hot. And after, she was like, all right, I'm going to bed. Let me know how it ends. And I tried to explain that.
Yeah.
But I also
Yeah.
just said, like, I mean, picture it this way. Like, this is a movie that was made in it was written in 1982, like created in 1988. It was based in like this culture of, I mean, late 80s, like 80s Japan, that we have no idea. Like we have absolutely no fucking clue about like Japanese culture, and it's just like obviously it's going to be kind of hard to follow, I think, especially first viewing. So at looking at it in that lens, it's just like, I don't know, I can give it some breaks where I'm like, all right, like I don't want to just say, and this is what I told her, I was just like, I don't want to just say like, well, I didn't get it, so I don't know if I like it. You know what I mean? And it's like I don't want to be that type of person to talk about it, because I'm like, there is a lot here, and I mean, just watching it a couple of days ago, it's like, whew, this is a lot to digest. And
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it
I
a
get
lot.
that.
Like
I have been. I've read some
That's
articles
the
about
thing,
it.
I think. is
Yeah.
it makes you think about shit a lot.
Yeah.
And even if you don't really get it, you're just like, days later, you'll wake up and be like, what the fuck was that? Like, it's just like,
Is that a metaphor
Yeah,
for this
crazy.
and that? Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And that's like a good thing. So like, I don't know, in comparison to like fucking some of the newer Star Wars movies where
Oh yeah.
you think about it because you're like, fuck, was that even good?
Yeah.
And then you have
Exactly.
people on forums trying to justify it. They're like they're like, no, you have to read this and that and this, and then it's better. Like you got to look into the fucking
Mhm.
encyclopedia of Star Wars, and it makes it so the Knights of Ren, bro. Like it's sick. And they're just like, just put it in the movie. It feels sick.
Yeah.
And but like this is different because it actually is enjoyable. Like it is a treat to watch. Like I don't know, just
Mhm.
the animation alone
Yeah.
like sucks you in. So like I don't know, but it has that feeling where you have people on internet forums being like, no, read the manga, and it'll be so much
Yeah.
better.
And
Rewatch the movie 2 times. It's like and like I don't know,
yeah.
it feels better that way. But I like kind of had that
Yeah,
comparison.
we talked about that on our episode on The Lighthouse, where we're just like, okay, I like this movie, but I probably need to watch it 14 more times to fully appreciate
Yeah.
it. And like, if it's asking a lot, right? I mean, to watch it once is,
Why'd you
but
spill your beans?
yeah, listen to that Lighthouse episode. That was fun. That was an old school one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like to touch on what you were saying about Star Wars or like the newer Star Wars movies. This movie, I feel like after I finished Akira, I was just like, what? Like, why is this so good? Like, why do people think this is so good? And then like the next day, I'm just like, fuck, I'm still thinking about this. Crazy. But
Yeah.
like Star Wars, like the newer Star Wars, you walk out of the theater, you're like, that was pretty cool. And then the next day, you're like, why did they go to the casino? Like, what? Like,
Fuck was that
just
dagger?
go-
God damn it!
yeah,
Dude, yeah. It's like 2 hours of just tricking you. And then the
yeah.
next day you're like, what
Yeah.
is that? Was
Yeah.
that my mind trick?
Like, was I robbed? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But so just to touch on that a bit, James, you were talking about the animation specifically. So the version of the whatever DVD I have has a little book in it, and this guy like wrote like a thesis
Dude.
on like basically like what it means to be animation. I don't know, it was a
It's
lot.
fucking wild.
But he traces the lineage of like animation styles, and he comes up with like a few different ones that really pivoted things, and this is one of them, and it's the third one in his list. But he compares like basically how you think about like the 50s and the 60s when Disney was making shit like Snow White, and they were experimenting with, okay, what if animation didn't have any shadows and you would rely on the outlines of the characters to simulate like a 3D movement, right? And so what you get are these very like layered, flat looking kind of things that we kind of grew up with and were accustomed to in some ways. And then this movie like really dialed in on, well, what if everything was super detailed and they tried to make it like a replication of reality? And that I think is like, holy shit, like you could that, especially like the thing about the end of the movie, like how many details are we seeing with his arm and when he's all puffing up and
yeah,
shit? It's crazy. And for that to like really set things off to like for people to try to do more things like that, it's kind of a big deal. I mean, it's probably one of the reasons that it was kind of, more widely watched across the world. But the fact that it played that role in an entire medium, right, which it was previously flooded with like children's shit, basically,
yeah.
it's kind of crazy. And it's super like, you see people get like gunned down by fucking like firing squads in this movie. That's not what you expect when you watch an anime. Maybe it is now, but back in the day,
Well, again, yeah. I mean, like James was saying, I think James said earlier, like, why this one? Why was this the movie that kind of changed the worldwide perspective on anime? And like Terrence said something earlier where he was just like, yeah, like people were just like, oh, those are cartoons. And like I think it had to be this over the top. Like it had to be this fucking crazy, this violent, this brutal. To be like, this is a cartoon. Like it feels wrong. It feels wrong calling this a cartoon. Like you know what I mean?
Right,
Like
yeah.
that's what we
yeah.
think about. But this is that's not this isn't going to be on Saturday morning. Like,
For sure.
Eating your fruity pebbles.
Yeah.
Watching a dude's head explode or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Okay, sorry, I have to call this comment out in the chat from Alonzo. He says Japan is the only country that was attacked with nuclear weapons. I feel like the trauma is a subtext to Akira. That is
Yeah.
a crazy fucking like perspective, right?
Yeah.
Like this is a place that has seen like true fucking the worst like darkness of humanity.
Decimation.
Dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like how does that come through in like an
Yeah.
art mean like this? And even then, right? Like with the
Yeah.
times, you would have to be like, holy fuck.
Dude,
Huge subtext.
Yeah.
Like just like I don't know, they show when Tokyo gets destroyed and then they rebuild, and it's just like a direct mirroring of what happened in real life, where despite all odds, Japan fucking went all the way up. They did all the technology. They did everything they could to be the best country they could be. And like I mean you get that, like you see the technology aspect when Tetsuo like becomes part machine, you know?
Cyborg,
Like
yeah.
yeah, he's like cyborg, and like it's the subtext is really like a treat in this movie, I
yeah.
think.
There's like actually a lot of anime specifically that deals with that kind of stuff, like directly or indirectly, like, you know, a lot of destruction, all this stuff. But like
Godzilla?
Godzilla.
yeah,
That was
exactly. But I think this movie was like another big turning point because like it was after Japan had rebuilt from the atomic bombs, and like they were finally like at the peak, like the highest fucking economy, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Like
We're going through
they
a lot
had
of
been.
that.
Yeah, and like this is like the product of that almost, and it's like it just reflects all the crazy bad shit. It's like damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I saw like I was reading through some forums and stuff, and like this one person was just like, Tetsuo is a embodiment of like Japan after like recovering from all of that, like like kind of the underdog after just like going through all of that bullshit and being able to grow and to like I don't know, just have like this massive power and like become like one of like a world leader, right? I don't know, it's but like the thing that's crazy is just how Tetsuo, I don't know, he just doesn't handle it right, and it's just like
But it's
I don't know.
not his fault. So that's like the interesting subtext
Yeah.
is that
Right.
Japan realizes that okay, now it's like you said, he was the one that was getting bullied. Japan got
Mhm.
bullied, and now they're coming up and they have all this power and it consumes them. But then it's Japan realizing that you can't let that power consume you. You
Mhm.
have to become Zen or whatever it is. I don't know what they would call it, but like it's
Almost like a warning.
Right.
yeah,
Right.
it's a warning, and that's
This
what
is
like
what
this
this is
whole
where
thing
we could go.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
like this
Yeah.
is where we could go if we become too imperialistic, too like, and there's all those subtexts
There's
in
a
the
lot.
yeah,
All the
and
protests
so
and
like
shit.
he gets consumed by Akira, which has already gone through that.
Yeah.
He's already experienced that. And so
Yeah.
it's like if you don't learn from the past, you're doomed to repeat it, kind of thing, right?
Totally.
That's a crazy read, yeah. The specifically to like mirroring it to Japan or whatever, because I guess what I took is just humanity as a whole is Tetsuo.
Yeah,
It's like humanity
and
cannot
that's
handle their fucking power, and they will
Yeah.
fuck it up, and it's still like the same thing,
always.
but more gender.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you have the man children, the old granny children.
Oh, still so uncomfortable.
Like yeah, and like that's like a direct like relation to like how children's innocence
Mhm.
is spoiled. That's why they're all old and decrepit, because their innocence was taken away from them when the government decided to test them and stuff. And so
Yeah.
there's even one point in where the little old lady girl calls out Tetsuo and she says, "You older people can't have this power. It's because little kids, they're gonna use the power just to have fun with it, whereas older, Tetsuo is probably a teenager,
Yeah.
and he's set in his ways, and he's like, no, I'm gonna take the power back, and he's like, he's, I don't know, it's just the power. It's just the adult mindset that's just always corrupted by greed and power.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, there's all kinds of
That's-
crazy shit.
That's what was like maybe the most interesting to me this time around watching it, and having like gone through the past year, like the amount of like political parallels that were in this movie or were even explored, right? Was like really interesting. Like specifically like when the general, the colonel, whatever the fuck decides like fuck it, we're fascism now. Like it's
Yeah.
you see like how, they call in the hellies on those motherfuckers and they like really, do like a coup and like stage all this shit. And then you see like the political side where they're like meeting in the chamber and they're talking about like how it was like a waste of money and it should have went to welfare and one guy's asleep. It's like shit like this happens
Yeah.
and it's crazy.
It's like,
And
why would we
to
give it
have
to the
like an
people?
anime, yeah, to have like an anime touch on that, I just wasn't really expecting it, and I totally missed it the first time. But just having that kind of like seeing things that happen in this movie happen in a different way in reality was
Yeah.
just like, holy shit! Like this is looking at some crazy shit,
Dude, yeah.
not something you'd expect.
Like, speaking of not being able to follow shit, that whole scene was so fast. People were talking so fast. I was like, oh my god, what is going on? Who are these people we're talking about? But anyway, that's what's so crazy about this movie is like it's still relevant. Like there's so many movies that we've done that are old that are still relevant, but it's like, fuck,
Oh yeah.
man,
It always.
nothing's changing. Like what the fuck? But like this movie
Yeah,
feels timeless because of that, dude. Like it's
Very
crazy.
topical.
yeah.
And I mean, the Olympics, man, in Japan this year.
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
How
Topical
weird
as
is
fuck.
that, by the way? Because I was
Yeah.
like, I was thinking, like, when I was watching, I was like, do we literally have a list of where the Olympics are going to be for the next 100 years?
They
No,
do.
we
They
don't.
do, don't they?
Not the next one, dude. They bid on the 2020 Olympics for Japan in 2013.
What the
Oh.
fuck?
Wow.
Way
So that
after
was
this.
close because
This
they were in
movie-
2019 in the movie.
Yeah, this movie like pretty
Yeah.
much predicted that.
They were like, let's get that Akira though.
What's funny is like I think it was 2019, but I think like the Olympics were gonna be like the Olympics were gonna be in 2020. Shit was gonna happen because they do it every 4 years, so we know that much.
Right.
So like the Olympics were gonna be in 2020,
that makes
Japan
sense, yeah.
neo in this movie, but they were canceled because of the shit. The 2020 Olympics were canceled in Japan because of COVID.
Oh my
And like
god.
everyone was just like, what the fuck? Akira knows. Like, holy shit.
Oh,
So
shit.
literally in both universes, the 2020 Japanese Olympics were canceled, which is fucking
Yeah,
kind of
that's
weird. Like
weird.
it's just
It's like
the fact that like
Simpsons.
they didn't bid on it until 2013, it's wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
It is
Oh shit.
That's where you get into
Oh,
like, yeah, maybe it is all a simulation, dude.
wild.
Dude, I saw this thing. And it was like, no, we don't live in a simulation. And then it was like, have you ever seen your neighbors taking groceries
Oh,
from their
Jesus.
cars?
No,
You ever
dude.
seen?
Fuck.
Have you ever? I've never, ever in my
Literally
entire
never.
life. Not
And that's
even like
something that-
at my parents' house.
I feel
That-
like maybe I have though. I don't know. I don't want to like rain on your parade, but I feel like maybe I have because I lived in like some condos for a while where there was just like a lot of people. I don't know.
Really close by.
makes
Yeah.
But
Even at my apartments, I'm like, every time I take it in, I'm like, there's no one here. It feels weird. I'm leaving my car unlocked. I'm like going back and forth. No one sees
Yeah.
me.
You exist.
no one sees me.
Dude,
I don't know.
That's like one of those things where like you would never just like stop and think about that one day. Well,
Hmm.
apparently this whoever the fuck made that meme did no way ago.
Yeah.
You just never really like, holy shit, yeah, actually, yeah, I haven't ever
Never
seen my neighbors take groceries.
Mhm.
Wow. That's funny.
I don't know. I haven't seen my neighbors do a lot of things, but it's not not to say that we're not living in a simulation. I mean,
You ever seen a baby bird, bro? That's a different thing. Never mind.
oh man, that's also well. That's why
That's not even
COVID
a.
happened.
Yeah. Never mind.
so they could replace the batteries in the birds.
Yeah, exactly.
Ah.
But Jesus Christ, back to Akira. Okay, let's let's jump right. We've been talking about it for a little while, and I feel like we need some time to digest the ending because there's a lot that happens, and I don't know. I like as I was watching it, I was like, I don't understand any of this. I don't understand this like mad scientist guy, like the Colonel's interactions with him, like Akira in general, and then Tatsuo's relationship or confrontation with Akira. Like there's so much there. So holy shit. Where
can
So
do we
off-
let's go to the scientist. So like
Okay.
the scientist and the colonel's relationship is one of they've already faced Akira before. They already know what could happen, what could potentially happen. And so the scientist sees that the wavelength and the power that's coming from Tetsuo is actually an inverse of Akira's, and it's very similar and it's growing at a rapidly fast rate just like Akira's was. And the colonel's like, you better keep that shit in check because you know what happened last time, right? And he's like, haha, yeah,
World
duh.
War Three?
And
Yeah.
then shit happens again. So basically they still have Akira locked up under the stadium and stuff like that, and they're still trying to figure out why did he have such an astronomical growth, like what, and they're still trying to harvest that power. They've never like gave up on that. And the colonel is jaded about the entire thing because they they the government basically were just like, "Oh yeah, we just got nuked." And then nobody knew about nobody knew that there was a
Here.
kid that nuked everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. I mean, I did find it like a little bit difficult to like keep going back and forth between him and the scientist because they do have a lot of like scenes together where they're like
Yeah.
looking at shit and
Yeah.
you kind of start to piece it together like okay, he's like knows how these powers seem to work and has examined them before and yeah, as like I mean, I guess what I want to ask Adrian is like where is what's the most confusing part of that? Like you said, like, okay, here's all these things that happen that you maybe don't understand. But like, what's the part that really throws you off? Because for me, the first time I watched it, it was like, how did Tetsuo get the power? Like, how did he?
Yeah. No, and like that was also kind of a weird thing. I think that was a thing that bothered me throughout the movie where Tetsuo gets into a biking accident because he runs over that little old boy, and then the government just picks him up and they're just like, well, let's just test on him, I guess. I don't know. Like, is that what happens? Like, they just pick him up and they're just like, let's just run some tests. Let's see what happens.
I was
He
wondering.
was off
Am I
the
wrong?
Richter scale, man. He was
So
like
they sensed
fucking
it,
buzzing.
and that's why they picked him up.
I don't know. They
So
said-
I don't.
I was like,
they
did
never
he-
really explain that.
I was
What
wondering.
And like,
took
I
was,
don't know.
like,
I'm sure like people who are really into the manga are gonna be like, well, actually, this is what happened and this is what, and I'm sure, but
Right.
like the movie doesn't go there. And like
Yeah.
maybe if you watch it 15 times, it does. I don't think it goes
It doesn't really. I think what it is that you just kind of assume like he interacted with the old
Yeah,
boy
that's what I
guy,
thought.
and
There's a-
then
there's a
he got
s-
the power. He got infected or
'Cause,
whatever
like,
you want to call it.
Anyone would
I
have
thought it was-
died, right, in that fucking accident, but he like maybe got
He
some
like
of the power or
mini
something.
bombed him or
No,
something.
I only
Yeah.
kind of thought that that the government was just like, oh, we have this like sample, or I don't know,
He's
like
gonna
they just
die
pick him up.
anyway or something.
They're just like, let's just like fuck with his brain because after he gets out, he's like hallucinating and he's just like, they did something to my head. I thought they just were just like, let's just take this random guy. I don't know, and that's what didn't
Oh,
make
and like injected in
And
him
it's
or
like,
something.
let's fuck him up and like see
Yeah.
what happens. I don't know.
Well,
He's not
remember that
subject to 9 or whatever.
they're chasing the other kid that ran away,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so like they're already full force, like not taking any chances or bullshit. So I just took it as like, okay, he came into interaction with the kid. We got to take him in and see if he's fucked up or not or something. I don't
Yeah.
know.
But there's a scene where they're like using little Dragon Ball radar where it like shows you it's like
Yeah,
bleep, bleep, bleep.
it's like
And then
blips.
he was blue. So like
Oh, yeah.
they know how to like identify
So he was
when someone is supernatural.
maybe
Like
he was born with it.
midichlorians.
No, they explain that
Maybe it's
everybody
Maybelline.
is born with it.
Oh, everyone. Yeah.
Really?
It's like the
They
energy
explain-
and everything or something, right?
Yes, so it's like the energy that flows through all of us. It's just that it happens in children because children are innocent and they're able to tap into that power easier than adults are. And
Yeah,
so when he hit the kid, it tapped into his own. So everybody has
Okay.
it. Everybody has
Awakened
it. It's explained. Yeah, so he had his awakening.
Got it.
But
That
they
was
have
close.
that
I
little
think I
Dragon
forgot
Ball tracker.
yeah.
And I
with
think
the
that's
blip.
kind of
Yeah.
what happened, but yeah.
Yeah, and like I don't know. So that was very strange for me. And
Yeah.
I think like just how Katsuo just instantly wakes up, he's like, "Holy shit, I'm not feeling great. Now I'm hallucinating. Now I know how to harness the power of the gods." Like it was just it was so fucking fast. And again, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably the
it,
movie
I- it was
thing.
it was too fast. It was a movie thing, but like also it's just like, okay, well, if you're gonna make a movie on something that is like this vastly immense story, I don't know.
But it has the Game of Thrones thing where the movie came out before the novel was finished.
Ooh.
But the guy that
it
wrote
has
the
that
manga wrote and directed the
the
movie,
movie.
so it's a little different.
yeah, and
So
I know,
he has a lot
but
of
he
control.
said like that both helped him finish it.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
like still, I feel like it wasn't the right way to go about it. Maybe.
I struggle a lot there too. For
I
Well,
sure.
want to
real-
read it so
I
bad
mean-
because it's probably so fleshed out and so much better that I'm like, fuck, dude.
Yeah.
I'm sure it
Yeah.
is, but
Yeah.
we're not. That's the thing is we're not like manga reviewers, right? Like we're
No, I
reviewing-
know. I'm just
We're reviewing this
the movie
movie.
made me want
And
to
I
read
agree-
it for
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
and I agree
Yeah.
with Adrian.
Yeah.
No, that
About everything.
I know-
that we have to review this as a movie.
As a
As
movie.
a
And we
standalone-
can't
Yeah,
we
yeah.
can't do the thing where no, if you do this and that, it's so much better. If you watch it
Totally,
3 times,
totally.
it's better. I'm talking. We're watching one time, and we're gonna give it that one time.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying that's,
That's
gonna be
I guess
hard
I'm
to
just-
do.
Giving excuses
It's gonna be
for
hard
the
for me to
movie
do.
for no reason, I guess, is what I'm doing.
And like I don't want to like act. I don't want it to seem like I'm sitting here shitting on the movie for like having too many gaps. Like obviously, if a movie is good enough for you to have questions and to want to do further research, like which I did, it's like okay, there's
And
there's
they're good
there's a
questions. They're
lot
not
there.
bad
Yeah,
questions.
Yeah.
Right. And I think
So-
that's like the thing. It's gonna be hard for me to do that, thinking about it as one viewing. But like
Yeah.
the fact that we even went this far into like trying to explain one small piece of the movie, and everybody kind of had like different parts of it. Like,
so good.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, like, but that's such a big. That I wouldn't say it's a small part of it. I mean, like Tetsuo understanding and like getting his powers is like
Yeah.
the entire plot of the movie.
Sure.
Wait,
But
like, in-
yeah, it's not dryly
But I don't think that-
explained.
I don't think it's so like right. Tetsuo's a fucking dickhead, right? Like he sucks. He's like the worst ever. But like
Well,
generally,
hold
I
on.
don't think it's him that sucks. It's the power that's controlling him that sucks, right?
Let me tap
he's
on
and
that
he's
really quick.
corrupted.
I
Let
don't
me
know
hit
that he's
really quick.
Okay,
I
go ahead.
think because what you were saying earlier about how it's like the innocence of children that
Yeah.
that kind of happens to. I feel
Yeah.
like he's just like one of the members of the group that's not really grown up yet, and so like he has these tendencies to do things that we see as like annoying because he's like inexperienced or maybe younger or just
He's an
is
orphan,
not-
right?
Well, okay, let's not go there.
fuck
my
those
God.
orphans, dude.
He's
Again,
an orphan. He is. Is
Yeah.
he not?
So
Yeah,
it's
they're
good.
always
Yeah.
superheroes, dude. But he's
Jesus.
super bad.
but I do think that it plays into like he still has some amount of innocence because he hasn't finished growing all the way up yet.
Right. I get that for sure.
So he acts like an asshole sometimes,
He was
Well,
so
like, I
mean
don't
to
know,
his
I-
girlfriend.
I
Why
know.
was
Yeah,
such a dick,
he's an
dude?
asshole. But like, also for me, I
Childhood.
feel like the reason that he's more of an asshole is not because he's not grown up enough. It's because he's grown up too much. Like he doesn't have the innocence of a child anymore, and like he's had a hard childhood, being bullied a lot, and like he finally has this position of power where it just completely absorbs him, like completely consumes him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
I could see that.
yeah, so and like to what James was saying is just like, the childhood innocence, like all of the other, what do they call them? Jaspers? I don't know. There's a lot of
Jaspers.
lingo in this. Jaspers? Whatever they're called.
Little old
The
people.
little blue people. I don't even know if they're blue. I'm colorblind, but um people, like, they're children, and like that's for me, I feel like, okay, this is why they're not evil and they haven't let this power consume them. But Tetsuo is just old enough and just damaged enough
Dude.
for this to be able to just take him over, and for him to, because I don't know that like he's necessarily like innocent, or like that, oh, this power just consumed him. I think he let it consume him because of like what he's been through.
Sure.
Yeah.
Dude, okay. Touching off that, the world building in this movie is fucking phenomenal, dude. Like talking about like him not being able to grow up, basically, like he had to have this rough childhood and stuff. Like the school scenes where there's just trash fucking school. There's too many kids. The teachers are assholes. It's like these kids are getting fucked up from an early age.
Dude,
Like,
the scene where everyone's just getting disciplined.
yeah.
Disciplined. I was just
It's like, what do you expect from these kids when they grow up? Like, they're gonna be fucking shitty because that's all they know, right? They're just trying to survive, man.
The Outsiders all over again, man.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Except none of them have a chance, bro. Fuck.
Yeah. Yeah, so to get back to, holy shit, the very end, towards the end of the movie. This movie, like, and that's the thing, is like it kind of drags on towards the end because there's still so many things I think to be answered, like so many stones unturned. And like at the very end of the movie, they start really explaining everything, and they start saying like, okay, we have all of these children that we've just been basically running fucking tests on, and we have them in this crazy ass hospital where they're just like making blocks move inside of spheres and shit and doing all this crazy stuff. Like that doesn't happen until like the last 15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. So like the whole time you're just like, I don't know. I was so
There's-
fucking confused.
There's a lot of like little side
They're like-
stories going on. Like I don't know, the whole Kai and Ryu story, like, and the mayor.
Yeah.
That happens. I don't know. He's got
And then there's a
money
cult that like
bags.
worships Akira that they
Yeah.
briefly touched on. Like that's a whole nother thing. And again, I feel like this is a side effect of this being like so hyper condensed, like such a concentrated thing of something
Yeah.
that's such of a universe that's so much bigger.
Mhm.
And it shows a lot of, in my opinion, bad signs of that, where it's just like you're trying to explain too much in too short a time.
Yeah. And still 2 hours.
Yeah, and it's not a short movie. Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's not short. But yeah, I don't know. I forgot where I was going with that, but
I don't know. You saying like that kind of killed the momentum, maybe? Those like flashbacks and stuff? Or
well, it's just like it feels like it's trying to answer like a million questions, and I don't know, it's there's too much going on, and I just feel like, fuck, man, if this was like a 5-episode miniseries, I'd be able to like understand a lot more of what's happening. But to just expect like somebody to go into this, I don't know, maybe I'm asking a lot as like somebody who wasn't born until the 90s and like has never been to Japan and doesn't know Japanese culture, to try to understand this film on the first viewing. Maybe that's asking a lot. And I'm absolutely aware of that. All I'm saying is like I have to like look at this movie from my lens, and that's like where I'm at. It's a lot.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know. I really liked not how I guess how they didn't explain a lot of stuff. Like it felt more in the world, and they're not nobody's doing exposition. Like the flashbacks is like just enough to like okay, like that's how they started or whatever. Like there's enough personally for me that it's enough for me to think about and like chew on, but like they're not just throwing it in your face. So it makes you interested, but like I don't know. I guess I was confused, but I was gonna say not confused, but I don't know. I think it did enough personally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And-
I think once you know like who you're really following and who you should
Right.
kind of be locked into, the rest of it becomes just like a little extra. And I think
Yeah.
about like Children of Men, how you would see a lot of like they would do this, but with the camera, right? And you would just see a lot of like the surroundings
Yep.
happening, and they just kind
Yeah.
of dipped into it. That's kind of how I viewed these, like the Cole and all these little side things that you saw was just like things that were also going on
Yeah.
while this was going
Yeah,
down.
just
Okay.
masterful world building. Like it's like yeah, once
Yeah.
you know, I guess I didn't know, but like once you know, like not to pay attention super like crazy into those kind of things, and just let it kind of flow and like wash over you, and you're like, all right, this is just how the world is. Like it works like so well, I think.
Yeah, but that's definitely hard to do on
Yeah.
the first time, I would say.
Right. And especially like watching the movie, I was just like, I have to talk about this movie for an hour. Like
Right.
after I watched this, right? It was just like, okay, let's really sit down and try to understand. And it was
Yeah.
almost like I was trying too hard, right? I'm just like, let me just let the
Yeah.
movie. Let's just let it happen.
Totally.
So-
I think
so
about that
what
a
do you-
lot, kind of, with this
What-
show.
Yeah.
Like, when I'm watching a movie and like taking notes and stuff, I'm like, am I being too analytical? Like, I feel like if it's a movie I've seen before, I'm happy to do it. If it's a movie I've never seen, I'm like, fuck, I kind of don't even want to. Like, I just want
Yeah, I'm like,
I
I
never
never take
do.
notes. I just wanted to.
No,
Yeah.
I honestly never take notes. I like take like maybe little mental screenshots, but like
Sure.
nothing.
Sure.
No, my notes were way after. I was like, I don't want to. I don't want to deal with it because I
Yeah.
can't even hardly fucking keep up.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, James? You had something
Oh,
lined up?
so what was Ryu gonna do with the children? Was he gonna use them to overthrow the government?
I haven't even thought
Huh.
about that. That's just like one of those small things that I'm like, damn, that did happen. I don't know. I haven't
Yeah.
really thought about it.
So it was like, go to Ryu. And then Ryu was like inside job kind of thing, because wasn't he like sort of
Oh, that
like at the
alleyway
end with
confrontation.
with the mayor, this and that.
Yeah.
Like there's like all these like little things that like I don't know, they're interesting, but like almost not interesting enough to like get to the big whole story of Akira, I think.
Mhm.
Like it's a little much. I think that's where it drags. That's where it drags for me. Like the flashback works good, but like the whole like resistance part kind of like you're almost there, we're almost getting somewhere. And like nothing, I don't know. Maybe I just wanted like multiple conclusions to each like story arc, cuz like there's like all these different arcs, right?
Mhm.
And we really only get one kind of complete one,
Yeah.
which I hope the series will like. I don't know if it's ever gonna. I don't know if the manga resolves them or anything, but I feel like it's like I want it to be more fleshed out, is what I want, I guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that's why I'm like very interested. Like within like the next week, I'm gonna start this fucking manga.
Yeah.
Like the weird cult like priest dude with the beads and shit. Like apparently he like plays like a bigger role in the whole story and stuff.
I felt that like watching it, I was like, this is a very important character. We don't have time though. Like that's like it, I was
No,
just like,
yeah.
let's look at him for a minute.
Yeah.
Like he's very important, but like we can't stop and smell the roses. This is just
I'll
he
take
exists.
a quick whiff though. It's interesting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A quick whiff.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, that's
I
so
think
like.
it's,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think it's really hard. Like, you think about, the director it started as a manga and it was kind of continuing as that, and those are like notoriously long, and there's a lot of things you can do in them, and so for him to literally like show up and direct a movie was totally not in his element, right? And he was just kind of doing what he thought was best, which is something that that guy that wrote the thesis I was talking about earlier also talks about, is how because of that he just walked in and like started directing and he had never done it before. Like that really inspired a lot of like ways to create these movies and like how to build these things in a way that's just like cool and interesting and unique and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's that, you know, there's a downside too, which is like we're gonna pack 10 things in and give you one, and
Right.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, I honestly recommend reading that thing. I didn't get to finish the whole thing, but I borrowed that 4K Blu-ray from Jay to watch it, and my God, it's fucking beautiful. But that book is so fucking cool. I was like, wow. I thought it was just gonna be like some art shit, but there's like a round table with the actors and shit at the end. I was like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah.
Sick.
Nice.
Interesting
Pretty sweet.
stuff.
All right, so let's round out with like the last, kind of the final scene, I guess, of the film is Tetsuo becoming his own universe? Question mark?
Please tell me
Uh,
someone.
What
Yeah,
happened?
and I just want to talk for 1 second about Tetsuo in Canada. Like, Canada just has like this laser gun that literally all of like so many other like footmen just have, and somehow this is like his ultimate foe. Like this is like Tetsuo's ultimate foe randomly, and I'm just like, okay, this is just some like biker gang guy who found a gun that has a laser on it, and it's like automatically just like this guy who's supposed to be a god. It's like his match has been met. Like
It's his best friend, dude.
He
You're gonna-
gets shot by a fucking laser beam from outer space.
that's
It
not
only-
that's like not what
it
fucked up,
only-
though. I don't know.
It only breaks his one arm. That's fucking cool. And then he
Invincible
gets shot by the.
vibes, James.
And then he just gets shot. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Invincible vibes. Yeah.
Dude, and as long as we're talking about vibes, the Thing vibes,
Sure.
Yeah.
anyone?
Yeah.
Those
Holy
little
shit.
fingers. Ugh.
So many.
Yeah.
Oh my
All the
god.
toe finger.
yeah, yeah.
Hand. Fucking
The intro.
tentacles.
The intro is literally Blade Runner vibes with the big
God,
buildings,
it's so good, dude.
the date,
Yeah.
Oh my
right?
God. Yeah.
All
Once I saw
shit.
that cyberpunk shit, I was like, Terran's fucking rock solid.
Very, very
I was like, oh
dude.
shit.
Yeah.
And then when that soundtrack fucking dropped, I was
Oh.
rock solid. I was like, oh fuck.
So good,
the
dude.
music in this shit was just
It was like fittingly weird
it's like some
as
hang
fuck.
drum shit.
Yeah.
I was like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
vibing.
Like it's just
Yeah,
so like,
the
oh my
beat and
god, what
shit.
is happening? I'm scared.
It was nice.
Still like
that
the
was
little synth
awesome.
thrown every once in a while. It was like, fuck, dude. This is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so pretty much I think the three little old lady children or old people children meditate to like bring back Akira's spirit, and like Akira is just
He's
like,
just like-
holy shit, Tetsuo is way strong. Let's just turn him into a universe. And then he fucking goes into like gets encapsulated by like some light ball and then vanishes. Tetsuo is a universe. I don't know what else there is
He's a
to say.
god, man.
It's like,
Dude,
Another
what-
universe.
That was the
Is
most
that
confusing
wrong?
thing. Cause like it does that, and he's like, "Oh shit," and then it just ends. Like the credits just start
catches him?
rolling.
It's just
It's
Canada.
Canada.
Canada, yeah. Like he catches him and doesn't Tetsuo, or like somebody says like, I am Tetsuo at the end or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Which
is like, I don't know. I am
there's
the
some
Lord.
implications.
I
there,
am
think,
the
Yeah.
Lord.
but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you guys have any reads on that? Like that moment where like he turns into all the little ball or whatever, and he catches it. I was like, I don't know what's going on. But then they're like, they look up and then like the sun's shining and it's all hopeful. It's like, okay, now they can move forward again from all these
So,
different
like,
fucking things
the-
happening.
Until some other
scientist-
fucking little fucking old person gets ran over and then it happens again.
Yep.
What the fuck?
And then you
dude?
So the
rebuild
science-
again, bro. Fuck.
The
That's
scientist
sick.
who's like constantly looking at that fucking aura thing of what is he that sample
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
by the way, the music when that's happening, it's like a fucking xylophone. It's so weird. The music when that thing is on screen is completely out of place. But anyway, he's like looking at that and like reading all the charts, and he's like, "Wait, is this like?" He's like, "If this is correct, like this is the creation of a universe or some shit." He's like says that,
Yeah.
and I think that's like Tetsuo becoming a god. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
fucking crazy, and
I mean,
I need to watch it 15 times to understand.
some like theologies believe that you like rule or become your own universe when you die and
Right.
stuff. So I'm sure it's pulled from something like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was crazy. But I get it. Like, yeah, okay, that happens, and Canada's just like, sweet, job's done. Let's fucking get
Yeah,
out of
Credits
here.
roll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it I don't know. It's just for me it was like, yeah, okay, cool. Got it. That happened. That was crazy. Liked it.
Yeah.
I didn't
He's
really
just
try
like,
to think about it.
what
too
a Tuesday, Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
All right.
Totally. No, the only like real okay, well, I'm not gonna say real, but like one of the questions I had at the end was like, is this where Takashi 69 got his name from? Was it this anime?
Oh,
Takashi.
One of the
I mean,
characters is named Takashi.
Takashi
Is it?
Tetsuo.
it sounds like
I
it'd be a
don't know.
normal name. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Is he the 69th?
But yeah, I
Like,
mean,
As
Number?
subject?
could make
Like,
sense.
yeah.
Well, like funny story, a lot of so obviously we've talked a lot about like other pop culture and other like films and stuff that have had influence by this, like specifically Ready Player One had like one of the bikes or something, and
Oh
it was
yeah.
Yeah.
but also I want to say it was like the scenes from Akira were featured in like a Michael Jackson music video. Like there was a lot of like I don't know, this movie like runs deep into just not only film but like just music in general. So
Dude, it's
kudos,
sunk its
kudos for that.
mechanical tendrils into pop
Yeah, it's-
culture, dude.
Exactly.
Like
Damn.
the bike slide is so fucking iconic. That was like the one.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like the one thing I've seen before watching the movie was the bike slide or whatever, and I wasn't expecting to happen so early. Like it didn't even like wasn't even that big of a deal. It was just like a cool ass scene or whatever. But like I always see like people post gifs on like Twitter or something and stuff, but it's like a montage of all the different ones that have like
Dude, yeah, that's
reference
what
to
I
it.
was
There's
gonna
so
say.
many, dude. It's so
Yeah.
fucking cool.
There's
Yeah.
a montage on YouTube. We should watch it in the after show.
Yeah, I found a tweet that has like a lot. It's really cool.
Sweet.
But it's like
Okay.
what The Simpsons does it.
So many
Pokemon,
people
fucking
do it.
Officer Jenny or whatever does it. Adventure Time. There's so
Oh,
many,
God.
dude. There's so fucking many.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very influential.
All right, yeah. So I think that does it with the whole plot of the movie. We pretty much talked about everything. Do we have any rounding thoughts before we get into reviews?
The
Are we
animation is
ready?
great,
Yeah.
Is this your review?
but no. I mean, it could be. The animation is great, but the
But-
fucking characters' faces are uglier than fuck.
They're bad. They look
Fucking
like
style, bro.
Tetsuo.
They look like
Tetsuo.
He has a fucking
Look-
7 head, bro.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
fucking Rihanna and Mega Man's fucking love child. Bro.
doesn't have
Mega Mind. Did I say Mega Man? Mega Mind.
Mega Man.
yeah.
That
He also
fucking
doesn't have a
thing is
jaw.
like, it's just I don't know. There's just those
Yeah.
ugly faces. Ray, Kai, K.
Kai,
The
K.
girl, I thought she was a boy.
Yeah, they
Like-
had to add like fucking eyeshadow to make her.
Yeah, I was like, she looks like a boy, and like, yeah, they're just ugly faces, and that's just my opinion. But
No, yeah, they don't have
It's a style.
very rare.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's
yeah.
the best style,
Yeah.
but it is
But
unique.
that's my thought. That's my thought.
All right. Well, that wraps us right into review. Who wants to go first? Jay always complains that he goes last.
I know,
every time.
Jay, you should go.
Probably Jay should
You want me
just-
to go first?
Yeah, dude.
Shit,
Yeah.
dude.
Fucking set
Um,
the bar. Set the bar.
Well, it's gonna be probably way different than anybody else, honestly. But
2. Just kidding.
I've seen the movie twice, so it's hard for me to say it in a first viewing because in the first viewing I was very confused as to like what exactly was going on. But it did hold the like, spot in my brain where I would just randomly be like, Yeah, that was fucking crazy. Like, what, what even is going on there? And watching it again, like, really helped. And I understand, like, why it's kind of hailed the way it is as, like, this great, not only animation, but, like, work of art in general. Um, and, like, I'm sure if I just watched it more times, it would just be even better every time. And I don't think that I'm necessarily gonna do that. Like, I'm sure I'll watch it more times in my life, but I'm not gonna watch it like 25 times to like dig in or whatever. Um, but yeah, it's intense. Like I said earlier, it reminds me of just what this medium is capable of and like how crazy and far you can go. And yeah, it's just really crazy, really intense. It's hard to like, I don't know. I feel like at some point in the day, Jordan was like, "What's the movie about?" And I was just like, how much time do you have?" Like, there's so much
Yeah.
happening, and there's so many things that it touches on that you're just like, "Fuck, dude!" It's like heavy. It feels like a heavy movie because it
Mm.
literally, stays in your brain for a few days.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I respect it more that I learned all this stuff about like just how influential it really was. And like there's like a whole section of that book where they talk about like how this movie is one of the first movies considered when a new like format of entertainment comes out. So like VHS to DVD, DVD to Blu-ray, Blu-ray to like 4K Ultra. This movie
Mm.
is one of the movies that is immediately put on like the newest format and sent out.
Ah.
And it just like
Wow.
holds up through each one. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It had a huge impact, and there's no denying that. And I feel like if I was more into anime, I would give it a higher score, just because I'd have more respect or whatever. But like, I still have a ton of respect for it, and I think for me, it's like I don't know. It's like an 8.8. It's way up there.
Nice.
Oh yeah,
8.8 out of J.
that's when it came out. 88.
Boom.
Nice.
There you go. We're not in a simulation. Who's ready to go next? I think I can go if you guys aren't dying to go.
Take
I'll
the
take it
lead,
away.
brother.
Whew. All right, yeah. I'm on a similar boat with Jay. What Jordan asked you, like, so how was the movie, or like, what's it about? Samantha, like I was telling you guys, she watched half of it, and she's like, so how did it end? And I was just like, I don't really know. I think there was a god and a universe created. Holy fuck! But I think like at the same time, I mean, you you just have to like appreciate and respect what this movie has done for animated media in general, right? Like not just like Japanese anime, not just like that, but it just shed this new light on like, hey, animes can be or like animation can be fucking brutal. It can be fucking like disturbing, and that's what this was. Like when I was watching Tetsuo turn into a giant amorphous blob, but like I was just like, I haven't seen this since The Thing, like since this fucking horror ass sci-fi shit. And wow, yeah, it just really demonstrated like where anime can go, and for that, like I don't know, for like making this type of medium like possible in other nations is huge. So mad props for that. Um I think oh shit, where was I going with this? Damn it. Had too many 7Ks.
Pull the turn.
Pulled the turn. Yeah, I had so much to say. No, I think this movie does struggle with a lot of problems. There's while I was watching it, I was just like, fuck, like it feels like there's so much to tell. This movie is dying for me to know so much about this universe, but it feels like it doesn't have the time to do it. And so I feel like we've said this about a lot of other films, but maybe it would be better as a short series. Maybe we could explore these different types of characters, and like we could develop things out a little bit better. And this movie felt rushed, and I'm sure the manga covers a lot of that, but we're not reviewing the manga. We're reviewing the movie, and I felt that. So it takes it down a little bit there. I don't know. I think like when I was going into this movie, I was just like, oh, this is going to be a cool movie about a post-apocalyptic world where there's like biker gangs fighting with each other, and we're going to see fast fucking motorcycles and all this crazy cool shit. And that just kind of happened a little bit, but I wanted so much more out of like the whole biking thing, and I feel like I didn't get enough. Like the times that it happened, like the tracing on the lights when they were doing these
Oh my
crazy drifts,
God,
I was like,
yeah.
this is so cool. And it just didn't, it like teased me, but it
Yeah.
didn't give me all of it. And I was just like, if I see fucking more fast bikes racing each other, doing all this crazy shit, I would be way more into it. And again, that could be an episode on a miniseries, right? And it didn't deliver it there. I don't know. This movie is very metaphorical and it's very deep. And we got into a lot of it on this episode, but you know, I would probably need a couple more watches, at least one more watch to really understand even a little bit more of it. So watching it one time, I see the appeal for sure. I see why it's a classic, and I can appreciate what it's done for pop culture. For me, it's a solid 8. It's a solid 8 out of 10. I liked it. It's good, and I get it, but it's not past an 8. It has some flaws.
Nice.
You want it to be hog wild, huh?
Or to be hog wild, dude, and it won't. So yeah, who wants to go next? Taryn or James?
Darren can go.
Okay. Oh shit, there was something Jay said that I was like, oh, I'm gonna play off that. Oh, you said. I don't watch anime that often, but like, well, like whatever. This movie is so unique for an anime, not even just movie, just in general. Like it feels weird to even call it an anime. And in some points, like there's obviously like some tropes where the freaking Kanada's fucking flirting with that girl and being an asshole and shit. Like that's in every fucking anime. But like, besides that, it's like, dude, the art style, like the literal animation of this movie, the 24 drawings per second. Could you imagine drawing that much? Jesus Christ.
God.
That's
It's
insane.
just one of the most unique movies I've ever fucking seen, dude. Like, not even just visually, but like the story, like the presentation and everything about it is just so cool, dude. Like, I can't get enough of it. And like, I agree with Adrian where I was like, damn, I wish this was just a cyberpunk fucking biker whatever fucking story. Like,
Yeah.
that might exist in some other story, whatever. But like, once it got into the weird shit in this movie, I was still like in. Like, I wasn't disappointed. I was like, okay, I wasn't expecting this, and I'm like, I'm ready for it. Like, let's fucking go. And I feel like it. I don't know. Thinking about it more after watching it, like right when we finished watching it, I was like, the fuck am I gonna say, dude? I don't know what the fuck just happened. Like, I have to watch this shit again, dude. But like, just thinking about it so much more, and like just like reading tidbits and stuff online is like so. It was so illuminating for like the background and like the impact of this movie, which is cannot be understated. Like, I like can't even believe like this movie is why almost any animation exists the way it does. Like, it probably still would, but like the way it does now, like almost everything owes it to this fucking movie, which is
Especially in the
wild.
US.
Yeah, for sure. And like, oh, one thing about the animation that I thought was fucking wild was the characters mouthing the words that they're saying. Like, I don't know, it felt like I haven't seen a movie be that detailed with their mouth movements when they're saying words and stuff. Because most anime is like just open and close mouth, so that you know when it goes in English, you can it still looks fine or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, this is like, damn, like they're actually saying the words. Like, I don't know, that just blew my fucking mind. And yeah, like the light trails on the bikes, dude. I fucking wrote that down right away. I was like, that is so
Yeah,
cool.
it was sick.
Yeah.
And like I mean, obviously, Blade Runner is like my favorite shit. Cyberpunk is my favorite thing of all time. Like the building shots, dude. Like the one like A building where they're just in that thing. Like, I'm just like, fuck, dude. It's the coolest shit ever. Like, I love this stuff so much. Like, even if you don't understand what you're watching, visually, it is worth watching this fucking movie alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, I was blown away by all of that for sure. the story was hard to follow, but like you get it more and you think about it, read about it. But I don't know. I don't know what to rate it. I had a score that was literally Jay's score, and I guess I'm gonna stick with it. 8.8. It's really fucking good.
All right.
First viewing,
Nice.
now it's kind of hard to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Yeah.
To be fair. All right. So an 8.8 out of Taryn. Let's see where James is at. Take it away.
Oh, let's go last. Okay, yeah, so same sentiments as the last three fellows. As Adrian leaves. No, I'm just kidding.
Let's wait for him, dude.
Um,
How's your day going?
yeah, so the animation just insane. Like, I'm gonna try to compare this to Invincible that we saw just recently. Like, there's a ton of gore in that show, but like this movie, the gore, I don't know. I think it sticks with you a little bit longer. I think it hits different. Like when Kai, when she kills that guy in the
Oh
sewer,
my god, and half
and
his
like she
head.
just shoots him in the face, and like his body's just sinking into the water.
Yeah.
Like that is probably the most brutal animation death I've ever seen. Like that was just like so jarring to me, but
I need to tell you about.
just the animation is just insane. Just insane. And yeah, I think there's just a lot to be said about this movie and its legacy. Obviously, we're very thankful for all that kind of stuff, but like I think it just needs to be I'm just very hopeful for the series. I hope that it comes out. I
Dude,
don't
there's
know.
no way it
There's
looks like
always
this though. I'm so sad.
Yeah. Well, I hope they try to keep the same style, just bring it into the new age. I hope they don't try to do too much 3D bullshit that doesn't need to happen, but yeah, I hope that it stays true to the original and yeah, I mean just the subtext, just the kind of I don't know. The Japanese are so thoughtful about who they are as people and it just shows in everything that they create. It shows like who they are as a society and it's just something that's just interesting to see every time they put out a piece of art. Like they just love to ingrain their culture. They love to just show that they're able to grow from nothing and they're so respectful for the past. They're so respectful for the future. They're always hopeful, but they're still a little jaded. Like Alonzo said, they're the only people who've been bombed twice. No one's ever been even bombed once. And so like they have that unique perspective and that kind of crazy like outlook on life. And I mean you see it in the mutilation of Tetsuo, like just like his body being engorged. That's like a direct like relation to being fucked up by radiation. Like all this stuff is just like super fucking brutal and only the Japanese could do that. And it's just kind of mind-blowing if you think about it in the grand scheme of where this movie's coming from and where the Japanese people are coming from. But yeah, like all the subtext stuff is good. I want to see it hashed out. I want to see it fleshed out because I think there's a lot to say. It's kind of like, nothing new under the sun kind of feeling. This stuff is so topical where you have the lower class fighting the higher class and it's just so relevant. And yeah, I mean, this movie does have that problem where they're trying to tell you so many things and it kind of hurts from the overall overarching thing, which I feel is like Akira and stuff like that. But like, I don't know. It's a very interesting movie. It's very fun to watch. If you don't give a shit about the story, watch it for the crazy animation. I was kind of sitting with Adrian, flat 8, but I'm just gonna bump it up a little bit, 8.5, I think.
Wow.
For
Damn,
me.
A lot.
let's go.
Give me the lowest score here. Okay.
That's a good
All right.
score.
So an 8.5, which brings us Fumbler score of an 8.525. So yeah, solid 8.5,
Nice.
right where James is at. Yeah, let us know what you guys think about this movie. Reach us at any of our socials. Find all of those at filmfumblers.com. Specifically, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of that stuff. You'll find all of those again, filmfumblers.com. Next week, we are reviewing Heavy Metal. We're continuing AniMAYtion with another animated film, one that I had not heard of, Heavy Metal. So, yeah, tune in for that. We'll be doing that next Saturday. So, yeah, stay tuned for the after show. We'll see you guys next time. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
See ya.
Cheers.